I'm Christine Bass, and I'm happy to be with you via this virtual breakout session sponsored by Hal Leonard. Today, we will be dealing with your concerns and questions for starting up choirs this fall, adjusting to the climbing out of that pandemic virtual learning hole, and finally viewing the choral rehearsal on a brand new horizon. Where will you need to focus? What will you need to do to jumpstart your choral program, not just vocally, but also to recolonize and build back the community with your singers? Together, we will look into some important concepts for your fall game plan that will build up your team choir. The resources I will be referencing today can all be found in Vocal Transformation for Secondary School Choirs, which is a product that's all about group vocal technique, and then my book, Front Loading Your Choral Rehearsal, Constructing for Success, which deals with rehearsal technique. Let's begin by undoing some of those bad habits that we have formed from sitting in front of the computer and singing along with recordings this past year. We can do this by touching on posture, the very crucial element, and aligning. So I use the Alexander 6 Points of Balance. I have a big poster in my room, and it starts from the soles of the feet, making sure that the weight is balanced, not too far forward or too far back. The knees right over the arches of the feet, the hips right over the knees, and I also have the kids always do things wrong so they can feel it where it is right. So you build from the bottom, arches, knees, hips, have them experience the small of their back so know that it's supposed to actually be there and not caved over and lost. And then shoulders over the hips. And then this is the hardest one, I think, for them, ears over the shoulders, so that it's just nice and tall and not this, which we see all the time with the computer, or this with the book back. So sternum up and head nice and tall, chin down. Those posture elements must be continually reinforced, and that's a really important part of great singing. Next, we're going to do a quick review of some great breathing concepts that will help eliminate the breathiness and erase the virtual learning habits that the kids have formed. So I like to have one hand on the sternum bone, one hand on the belly button, and we do fat to skinny breathing so that their breathing apparatus is full and down low. So, and then you can lots of variations. You can all of that stuff, but understanding that it's down here and not up high. And then I have them put their hand here and just kind of breathe normal. And all they should feel is just a little bit of air. And then when they're singing, it should be the same thing. So, and not like they feel a push of air. And a lot of them are not even aware that they do that. So putting the hand in front of the mouth oftentimes really does help them. And then I do another concept with it, which is feeling like you're holding your breath the whole time so that the air stays under the tone, and then blowing out at the end, which helps them to conserve their breath. So, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, shh. Okay, so that they blow out instead of going, happy birthday to you, happy birthday. And they've got to get that idea that, they still have extra at the end. That does a really good job of creating that sense of not pushing out that air. Another common concern is how to promote healthy resonance in the young singers without overproducing their sound. Let's listen to this vocal transformation of one of my 9th grade choirs right at the very beginning of the year and how they change throughout the year.
Ready?
This is actually my top choir, also in September. The freshman choir's progress is followed via vocal transformation.
Draw your arm up as the phrase goes. Nice tall mouth, dull mouth.
How do you get from here to there? Well, let's explore some of the helpful concepts that really do work. Obviously, the posture and the breathing concepts that we discussed earlier are continuous key elements. To those, we add the work on resonance. So one of the things I like to do is let them experience their actual resonance factory, their tone factory. So just like a body of a guitar or a body of a cello, we have to understand that we resonate. So I put the thumbs underneath the chin, hands on the face, and then we do motorcycles. I call the big Harley, goes like this with the space in between like a hum. And then we get on the mini bike and they shift gears into their higher voice. But it's very open, and they don't, and they understand that they have all of that oral cavity to explore. So it's really important for them to understand the physiology of the voice. We talk about the lifted soft palate, so we'll do the hard palate. Take the tongue, go back, lift, yawn. What happens to that hard palate? Well, it goes up, and they have to experience that that's the openness that you want to do. Another concept I use for resonance is fanning to the pharynx wall. The pharynx wall is the back of your throat behind your uvula. So you're going to inhale and fan as hard as you can and breathe in and see if you can feel the breath all the way to the back of the pharynx wall, like this. And they can look at each other and kind of see if that's happening. They can look inside each other's mouths. I hope, maybe not after COVID, and see how that space is there. And here's a diagram to show you what they can do with understanding that apparatus. And we want to connect that to the open breath and a quiet breath. So a singer's breath is like that, and not, okay, no raising of the ribs. The ribs are already up. It's just always immediately apply the new techniques you are teaching to their repertoire. So you do it in warm-ups, you do it in the prep, and then you continue to do it right through the repertoire. And then you're going to continue to listen and make adjustments based on what you're hearing. Do they need a little encouragement on breath control? Do they need encouragement on where they resonate? Well, that's what you're going to continue to do and adjust. Here are some more easy resonant tricks. I use this one, I call it the ah meter, and it helps to place and center the sound. So we'll just take a basic F and we'll sing it straight up. And I have the students use their hands. Oh. Then I talk about going very forward, like Urkel in Family Matters. Oh. So that they understand, oh, I can change my sound. And then they go too far back and swallow the sound. Oh, kind of like Russell Crowe in Les Mis, or who Urkel becomes in Family Matters, Stefan. So we have the real forward, or the regular tall, or the back and swallowed. So we want them to know that they're the ones that can place their sound that way. I also use a column of sound. I call it those bank tubes. You know, when you drive up to the drive-in bank thing and you put your money in the chute and it goes up that big, tall, clear chute. That is really important to get that column of sound that they have. So, oh, have them draw it. Oh, and then they do it wrong. Oh, people use north, south, east, west, tall, sideways, whatever works for you, but make sure that they understand they choose to sing with a tall sound. Now I am transferring the information about resonation and the ah meter to the column of sound bank tube concept. I make the connection and use a physical movement to bring it into the muscle body memory.
Right back in. Okay, now you're going to turn it sideways. Bring it back tall. Good, go sideways. All right. I love your faces when you go sideways. You're like, you're all like gorgeously. Okay.
So another resonance idea is that you have a da mouth, drop your jaw, da, and bright eyes. And so you make this, that's your singing posture, da, and boink. Okay, not da, all da, or not all, right. And I like to have the kids look at each other and do this and maybe pick a winner who's got the best look. So that's a team building exercise you can use. Now moving on to support. This one I think is one of the biggest problems for young singers, and it's connecting their sound to their body. They simply are not aware of how much energy and support they actually need. So I'd like to show you a couple of things that I do. One is the abdominal attack. So on the abdominal attack, we talk about their apparatus here, and I have them say yo on the count of 3 and pull their belly button to their spine. So 1, 2, 3, yo, oh, oh, and it jiggles there. And it's a lot like a hiccup or a laugh, and I always compare it to something that they already do. So we'll do ah, and they'll feel 3 little jiggles there, because a lot of times they like to sing from here up, ha, so this is me teaching them that concept, and then moving to an advanced choir that does it in harmonies and everything.
Get plugged into your guitar, and you're going to go ah. Say that. Ah. So it's 3 in and up, okay? Don't go E, push down, go E. That's wrong. In and up. E. It also is like a hiccup. Do that. Or a laugh. Everybody laugh. Okay, so you got that.
Relate the new concept of support back to what the singers already know. I have to watch each one to make sure if they are lifting in and up and not bearing down. It takes a while to get everyone on board.
And we're doing ah, and it's really lifted. So ah, what kind of mouth did we have yesterday? Duh mouth. So ah, now ah. Okay. So hands are here. Check out your power supply. 1, 2. You try it. Go. Ah. Good. Now let's take that off. Ready? Ah. Everybody have it? Ah. Turn it sideways. When you land, not okay, that's just using this part. We want to use all that oral vocabulary we just talked about. Try it here.
As we proceed, you will see that I have to continually correct and remind the students of how the sound should be. The good habits form over time with constant reminders. As you build vocal technique, combine the concepts by using breathing, support, and resonance in multiple warm-ups. Here is a favorite.
Do, mi, so. Sing do, mi, so. Do, mi, so. And I like how you imitated me. I was nice and perky, and you were nice and perky. This is my ballet shoe analogy. See, ping, ping, ping. Nice and bouncy, or as for the guys, because you probably wouldn't put toe shoes on, that'd be a little scary. You can have those trampoline shoes, okay? You know the ones with the springs in them? I should have invented those. I talked about them years ago, and now they came out with them. So somebody stole my idea, but those springy shoes. So instead of combat boots, that's the wrong way. Really bouncy. Ready, go? Oh, excellent. Now you have little energies from your body. You didn't even know that. Now, do you know what a handbell is? Yeah. Okay. Some handbell choirs, they play all these beautiful sounds. You have bells in your hands. Now, handbells come in different sizes. So the bass handbell would be a little larger, tenor one in the middle, alto's a little smaller, and soprano is the smallest one, okay? And you're going to go, ping, ping, ping. Okay, ping, ping, ping. And you're going to close out to the NG, and you're going to hit your bell all those times, okay? Ready? 1, 2, try it. Ping, ping, ping. Good. I like ping, ping, ping. Close up. Do that. Now, you're going to have skills here. Basses and altos are going to stop on the bottom ping. Ping. And just stay plugged in.
I try to use the piano as little as possible. It has virtually nothing to do with the vocal sound except for to provide the correct pitch. If you are able to give the pitches to your students, their oral sense will be stronger without the piano.
And we made a little chord, and I see some smiles. We're like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Try here, 1, 2, ready, go. Ping, ping, ping. Who's got the most bounce in their ping? Which section? Okay. See
Continuing with support, we bring back the abdominal attacks in a more competitive exercise between the lower voices and the high voices. Here we find my basses moving into bridge voice and falsetto. Later, my altos vocalize just as high as my sopranos, keeping the sound free and open. Circling back to breath control while adding dynamics, this 1-4-1 chord warm-up is very useful. I start teaching at unison, and then I add the harmonies as they become more advanced. Here's a clip of my beginners as they first learn the concept of keeping that air underneath their tone, and then we'll move on to the advanced choir, where you see dynamics and all kinds of things happening in the exercise. I call it my hug-a-tree exercise.
Okay, and here we go. Ready? You're going to just take a deep breath, and you're going to go. Say that like that. There we go. You like you're holding your air in, just like we did. Good. Now, what I don't want is this. Me. Okay, I don't want you to blow out. I want that first breath to feel like it's all still going in. Take a breath. Make a knee on. Take your hitchhike finger and go. Instead of me. Do that one. Me. Then do the other way. Okay, so this is going to be really cool. It's going to make you excellent singers. And you're going to go like so. I sing.
Crucial for breath management is the onset of the breath and tone. We need to overcome the feeling of blowing out.
And then you're going to, you can't get a better onset than that. Ready. Up the half, watch the dynamics. Next one.
Now let's bring these concepts full circle by learning some repertoire. This is where we shift from group vocal technique to rehearsal technique using the front-loading concepts. This helps to keep the earlier vocal technique concepts alive as they learn the repertoire, so you can build in the sound that you want. I will be using Roger Emerson's Shoshone Love Song, which is perfect for connecting the concepts that we've talked about with an entry-level choir. Its lyrical melody makes it a wonderful piece to encourage the singers to use their new skills and sing with breath control, support, and resonance. I use neutral syllables to accomplish this, and I will demonstrate as I teach the unison line. Using kinesthetics to fully involve the students is always a great technique. So I would basically teach the opening line, the unison line, with a breath that opens in the hands and a pull like they're pulling a rowboat onto the shore with a big rope, pulling slowly across the lower part of their body. I'm a little high right now at the piano, but down low. And they would sing with a lee because that's going to let them resonate. So here we go. So get your rowboats ready. And ready for a nice open breath. Here it is. You get to choose one and go on. The harmonies are very, very pleasing, and the kids love this song because of that. And it's all about love, and that's the hot topic, right? So it works well. Having taught choral music for 46 years now, I seem to have learned most things the hard way. By that I mean, I would frequently find myself right before the concert wondering why the students weren't making the dynamic changes that I was now asking for. Well, the answer is simple. They learned the music without the dynamics because I was just teaching the notes and the parts. Later on, I discovered that I was doing everything the hard way. Now I use the front-loading approach to teach the musical concepts needed for a wonderful performance at the same time as they are learning the notes. It makes much more sense, and the students find success right from that first rehearsal. Now, this may feel overwhelming to you, and you ask, how can I teach in the polishing elements when they don't even know the notes? Well, here's the trick. As you are teaching the notes, you are also front-loading in the musical elements. Just test it out on one piece. Believe me, it works. I have an entire book with over 60 video demonstration lessons of me working with choirs on their first and second rehearsals. It gives you a chance to be a fly on the wall for someone's first rehearsal and to watch up close just how you can build in those musical elements from the start. However, in this very brief breakout session, I will only be able to scratch the surface, but I will try to give you some of the basic concepts from front loading. Exactly what elements can you front load? I will choose the last three of these, tone color, text stress, and stylistic ideas, as I introduce Rollo Dilworth's arrangement of How Can I Keep From Singing? We're going to start on page 8 at measure 43. I frequently choose not to start from the beginning of a piece because I find it better to start with the hook, as it provides the singers with success right away. And one of Rollo's mottos is that your singers should always leave your rehearsal feeling successful. So let's make that a goal. Again, I'm choosing not to use text as we start. There are just too many issues with the text that can ruin things when you add that layer. So I'll choose to use neutral syllables, ba and di. I chose those very specifically because of the articulations that I'm trying to set up. I'll set up the tone color, the articulations in both in my warm-up and in my demo. So the warm-up, I would probably just choose the rhythm of the soprano line. So I would use a D with a flick and a burst. So a flick, burst, beat, burst. So D, 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 and here D, 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 and here D, 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 D. Okay. And basically the alto and tenor, the alto goes. So I'm going to do ba, 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 and I'm going to have like batting balloon, keeping it up. Ba, 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 and ba, 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 ba. And then I would start to layer in the parts. Now, because the soprano sings prior to everybody else at 44, I would do the soprano maybe once by themselves, one and dee, 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 dee. Again, sopranos, dee, 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 dee. With that articulation, dee, 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 dee. And then I would work on the alto. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, so that we'd eventually layer in all those parts, and then we'd put them together. And then that repeats again. Keep that same articulation in those consonants. And the longer line. Right away we've got the singing having the text stress, and that's from singing, but from singing. So I would have them underline the stress syllables, even though we're not using the words, on can and keep and sing. And that would build that in. Now that we've done that, let's think about how this approach relates to accessibility. I don't know about you, but not all of my entry-level singers walk into the choir room as great sight singers. So I'm careful in my entry-level group to initially read using mostly rote singing to bring them on board. Of course, sight reading should be absolutely taught throughout the entire year, but that's another chapter in my book. Let's assess. How does this approach differ from just teaching those notes? What elements have been front-loaded into the muscle memory and the ears of your singers? I wish we were live and I could hear your responses, but hopefully they would be, well, now they have the bounce and the style and the energy and this text stress, and it's already built in. So what will the benefit be when they sing this piece again? They'll come back to it with that in their muscle memory, that in their mind, and they will immediately sing it how they learned it, with that lift, bounce, and energy, and they'll replicate it. Another thing to consider right from the start is the context of the piece. How Can I Keep can be a great community builder due to the text and the story behind the original composition, which Dilworth was very careful to give us on the liner. As I said earlier, I choose not to use text when initially learning a piece. In English, we have some terrible speech habits that simply do not translate well into singing. Diphthongs like way and closing off the consonants too early, like in the word from, all of those things are a lot to unpack when you're learning the piece. So I just like to use neutral syllables to develop all the other elements, and then we go to diction, which is a whole nother chapter. But like anything else, there are always exceptions to every rule. Sometimes it's much better to use the text, especially if it's a simple foreign language song, because the singers don't have bad habits in that language as they do in English. So you can teach fa una canzone senza note nere, and you can teach in the stress. I wouldn't teach it with the notes right away, but I would teach text with the stress and the tallness of the text, and then layer it into the notes. Or you can use text as if it's a strong rhythmic piece based on text, like the beginning of Let the River Run, arranged by Craig Hella Johnson. Here is how I would approach introducing the beginning of this piece so that the students would get hooked into it right away. We'll observe the Advanced Mixed Choir from Cranford High School in Cranford, New Jersey. Anthony Raffanello, my former student teacher, is their director.
The first 4 measures are percussion. And then you come in absolutely more like the percussion. So measure 5, who comes in first? The bass 2s, okay? Coming to the edge, running on the water. Say water. Water. Do we say water or water? Anybody say water up here? Water. Say it.
Water.
Which syllable gets the stress? Wa. Okay, so we're already good with that. Now, I would like you to do the following. Here's the beat. 2, 3, 4. I'd like you to take your fingers on your thigh and see if you can tap out your rhythm. We're going to do the repeats. So we're going to start at 5 and we're going to repeat each measure. I'm going to say it while we're doing it. Is everybody tapping? So right now I'm starting with my bass 2s. 1, 2, and you're tapping your rhythm. Go. Coming to the edge, running on the water. Coming to the edge, running on the... Add the bears. Coming to the edge, running on the water. You're tapping. Here comes the tender and I have running, 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 coming to the running, 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 out to come, running on the water, come, running on the water. Stop. You okay? These rhythms not too hard, are they? And did you get yours? We'll find out. How about this time you're going to speak it kind of like I did with a nice leg lift, okay? And who's not singing yet? You're our beatbox. Got us to do that? Here we go. Basses, keep going. Basses ready, go. Coming to the edge, running on the water. I can't hear you.
Running on the
There it
water.
goes.
Coming to the edge, running on the water. Coming to the edge, running on the water. Running to the edge, running on the water. Running to the edge,
Sing it tall. Those are up. Altos. Come, running on the water.
Running to the edge, running on the water.
I thought the sounds were outstanding. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. Now, how was that? Is that all right? Everybody good?
So, what was just front-loaded? Well, the style, the energy, the correct diction, water, right? And the syllabic stress. Also, the gradual buildup of the dynamics. Now, that all happens pretty much automatically in that piece, but if you just start teaching notes and you can kill it. So, I'd like to build that all in. This all happens as we learned the rhythms and the pitches. Even though it was their first read, the choir got pulled into the style and the energy of the piece. I'm going to finish up our session by addressing another common problem, the use of the head voice. This can be an issue both for the high voices and the low voices, but for right now, I'm going to deal with the high. Opening up that top register by using kinesthetics and warm-ups, and then moving into the repertoire as if it is still a warm-up is really beneficial. So in this front-loading video I'm going to show you, I'm working with a group of 9th grade sopranos and altos on the Hallelujah Chorus. For a warm-up, I might choose this exercise to get the space in the sound and have a drop jaw. Su and su. As we get higher, su. We all look at each other. Home Alone mouth. Su. And the altos are going right with those sopranos. We do a lot of series of those using the kinesthetic. And then next I treat the "and he shall reign" line as a warm-up. And they just fall right in, not even reaching or pinching or, I can't sing those high notes. They're just using it as a vocalization, and they go right for it, even those altos. And a side note on the voices. The voice does not really fully develop until around age 35. So most of us are always teaching unclassified, younger, emerging voices. So let's help them by building their range in both directions so as not to limit them. I also love to say, on this song you're going to sing soprano. On this song you're going to sing an alto. As long as they have the range for it, it helps their ears, it helps their vocal development. They become better musicians. Here's a short clip of this concept with Cranford High School Women's 9th grade chorus in the fall, front loading.
And you're going to go, you have a top hat. You know how people bow with their top hat? They go like that. Okay, you're not going to bow over, but you're going to take that hat off and you're going to go, throw it right there outside that window to the beautiful tree. Ready, go. Good, do that again. Ready, go. Excellent job. Okay, is that note high? On the side of being high, but is it in your range? Can you sing it? Yes, and you're not hitting it, you're singing it, right? Ready, go. One more time. And then you got so just sing that whole thing. It's going to sound like this. Try it.
Wrapping up, I hope that you found some ideas here that you can use in your choirs to get off to a wonderful start for this brand new and hopefully more normal school year. What a tremendous experience to awaken to, making real live music again in that classroom. If I can be of any further help, please reach out to me via my website, christinebass.com, and have a great team and voice building year. Take care.